Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are doing some more house projects, specifically in my office mostly, and a little bit in Kyle's. So when we first moved in 2 years ago now, I can't believe it's been so long, we brought a lot of our furniture with us, obviously. One of those pieces being my desk. I love this desk. It is such high quality. It just fits all my needs perfectly. However, my style has changed a lot since moving into this house, and this desk is definitely a lot more modern farmhouse, which is still very pretty. It just doesn't really go with everything else that I have going on. So I have been racking my brain for literally months trying to figure out exactly how to transform this desk into something a bit more modern and just fitting the style better and not feel so farmhousey. But I feel like it can be a little bit of a tricky thing to transition your furniture pieces, and I definitely didn't want to have to spend the money and buy a new desk or lose the functionality of this one. So I finally figured it out, so we are going to tackle this desk. I'm also gonna make just a few changes around my office, and then I'm also gonna be adding something to Kyle's office. I'm so excited for this. I've been waiting and wanting to do this for a while, and I'm so happy I finally figured it out. So let's go ahead and get into it. I wanna hear you say that you only want me. So to start out, I am just clearing off the desk, and Kyle and I will have to pull all the cords away so that we can take things apart to prep and paint the desk. But before we get into the thick of the projects, I wanted to say a huge thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. I have been using BetterHelp for the past few years, and they have helped me immensely. Now, if you aren't familiar with them, they offer online therapy in the comfort of your own home, and their mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And I have been so thankful for how they offer therapy, because I feel like so many of us can really benefit from therapy, but lots of times it can feel embarrassing or intimidating to get started, and they just completely take those roadblocks away. Now, I've done therapy through BetterHelp for depression as well as helping me with grieving, and they have professional therapists that specialize in all types of struggles. And they also make it really easy to sign up. So you just answer some questions, then they match you with a therapist, and then you can choose to meet with your therapist through video calls, phone calls, or messaging, whatever feels most comfortable to you. And they are giving you guys 10% off your first month just by going to betterhelp.com/thiscrazylife or by clicking on the link in my description box down below. So if you are struggling with something, give them a try, use that discount. I know they can help. So I changed my mind on a thing. So originally when we were figuring out what to do with this, I was like, maybe I can sand it down, but it is laminate on top. And so I was like, I think if we sand it, it won't work anyway. And then at one point I took off this piece right here, which is this guy down here, and it's actually keeping the X's in. Basically, they're just held in with these pins, and I could never get this to go back in straight, so I was like very worried about getting them all to line up again. And so I was like, I'm just gonna paint these X's and everything attached to the desk. And so that's why we took everything apart so that I could bring this outside to spray paint it. I had this idea, but I was against it. But we decided to try out his thought.
This is what I said at the beginning. I'm just saying, when we first started, I was like, we should just take all the parts off and take them outside instead of taking the whole desk apart.
I know.
That's okay.
It's okay. But this will make it a lot easier. Then I don't have to like cut in. I can just like paint it a lot quicker, and then I can spray paint these and get a really nice coat on them. So it'll all be fine. All right, we have the whole desk kind of taken apart. I'm actually going to be painting the desk in here because it's like 102 or 105 degrees outside right now. I just don't want the paint to dry too quickly out there and not work. Plus, I don't really want to paint outside at 102 degrees. So we're gonna go ahead and just do that in here, but I am gonna have to spray paint all of the metal finishes outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping and spray painting everything. The handle, which if I can find something else that fits, I might change this out, but I think it'll look pretty good if it's gold. I'm actually not going to end up putting these corner pieces back on because they are just for look. And then I will spray paint all of these pieces because the X's are somewhat structural, and so we have to put these caps back over it. But I'm gonna paint these and the X's and all the things gold, and that's going to help it fit into the style a lot better, and also, again, kind of pull it away from that modern farmhouse feel. So I opted to spray paint these because one, I feel like spray paint can actually give a really, really beautiful finish, but also a lot of spray paint actually adheres really well to multiple different surfaces, including metal, which is what these are. So when you are choosing your spray paint, just make sure that it does adhere to metal or wood or whatever your finish is. And then of course, just give it a few very light coats as opposed to like 1 or 2 really thick coats, because then you are going to avoid drips. And meanwhile, while I was out there working on spray painting everything, Kyle was inside just fixing those little holes on the edges of the desk. And once we finished everything, I was so happy that we ended up filling those holes and just not putting the like little corner edge pieces on, because it really did make a big difference in making the desk kind of look a little bit more modern. I'm back inside. So Kyle got these, they're like plastic drop cloths, just because sometimes the canvas one can seep through a little bit and I really don't want to get the rug or anything painted. So we're gonna go ahead and lay out the plastic drop cloth, and then we'll lay out the canvas one, and then I'll be able to start painting in here. But the gold is turning out really pretty on the spray painted X's and hardware and stuff. And Kyle's just finishing up with like sanding all those little holes. It just will look a lot less farmhousey and patched up there. Finally, we're gonna start working on the actual desk itself, and we are going to use, of course, Beyond Paint. It's all, you know, colored in right here. But this is the Pebble color. I have used this same can so many places. We used it in 2 of the bathrooms upstairs, our master bathroom, the desk area upstairs. We've used this a lot and I still have some left. I do have a new can waiting for me in case I run out here, because we're also going to be doing Luke and Noah's bathroom, the Pepto-Bismol pink bathroom. That'll be coming soon enough. So we are going to paint the body of the desk the Beyond Paint Pebble color. The thing that I love about Beyond Paint, one, it goes a long way. Like I said, I've done a lot of projects just with this 1 gallon. It also has a beautiful professional finish. You don't have to sand it. You don't have to strip anything down. Like, it just works incredible. I paint it right on just as it is now. Just make sure it's nice and clean. And then it also comes in various colors. This I think is like my favorite one, but I will link it down below. If you haven't tried it out, it's amazing, but you're just going to want to use like a 3/8 inch nap roller, so don't use a foam roller. What we're gonna do is actually take a paintbrush and like dab in all of the corner areas, and then everything that we possibly can, we're gonna roll with the roller. And then I'll probably have to do 2 coats, possibly with some touch-ups, but that's typically all I ever have to do with this. It works amazing. This was definitely like the point of no return. I have gone back and forth for months on this desk, like looking at new desks, looking at desks on Facebook Marketplace, thinking about painting it, thinking about sanding it down and, you know, trying to refinish it that way. Like there have been so many options that we've gone over, and I eventually just decided I think this is going to be the best case. Like that way I can still use the desk because of course it functions perfectly, like it fits all my needs perfectly. It's very, very sturdy and well made. It just isn't really in the style that I'm needing, but I also didn't want to spend $1,000 or $2,000 or something on one of the desks that kind of would have fit the space as well and still served me as well. And that just was not an option I was really considering. And so actually I was planning on doing this a few weeks ago, and the night before I was like, no, I cannot figure out how to make those like X's not just scream farmhouse. And so I thought about possibly taking the X's out, but clearly, as you saw in the beginning, like it made the desk way wobbly. So that just was not an option either. So finally having it come to my mind that we could actually spray paint those pieces gold, that I feel like was the secret ticket to making this desk really pull together. And you'll see in the end, but I love the change it made. It just completely transformed this desk, and I'm amazed that we were able to do it on like a tiny, tiny budget. All right, we have the second or third coat of spray paint on the hardware pieces. It's such a gorgeous color of gold, and this is turning out so pretty. It dries even a more gorgeous color, but the beginning spots that I started on with the first coat are already dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the second coat and kind of work my way around, and by the time I get to the top area, it'll be dry enough to do a second coat. But I'm gonna show you an up close of the first coat, and you will see like that first coat is almost, to me, like a primer. Like it's not really great coverage, but the second coat is incredible. It just fills in all those gaps and it looks so pretty. And then in the end, I usually end up only doing like touch up on a third, like if I missed a certain area or something, but for the most part I do 2 coats. I will want to let this sit for a while, so I'm actually not going to be like putting things back together today, just so that it gives the paint time to dry and really cure. But it's just changing the space in here, and I can't wait to finish like doing the other things. And I just wanted to say, if it looks a little blotchy right now, don't worry, it definitely dries very smooth and like beautiful professional finish. But when it's in the middle of drying, it definitely looks pretty splotchy all around. You guys, it is actually a couple days later, just because I really wanted to give the desk a chance to like fully dry and cure, since it is going to be used a lot and like rubbed on the top and everything. So we can go ahead and start assembling the desk. And then there's a few changes that I want to make in the office. Nothing like crazy, but just some gradual changes. Sometimes it's those little things that really make such a big difference. And then there's also something that I want to do in Kyle's office, so we'll get to that kind of a little bit later on in the video. This was the moment of truth when we kind of started to bring it all together, and I could not be more happy with how it all turned out. I feel like painting those metal accents, which also were kind of the braces for the desk, it just gave such a different vibe and such a different feel to the desk. I love it so much. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. This is a little cord keeper thing that kind of finishes off a hole. So originally when we bought this desk, this did not have a hole in it for all the cords, but whenever you place a piece of furniture like this in the middle of a room, you're going to need to store the cords somehow. And so Kyle had drilled with a hole saw that nice hole there, and this top piece just kind of filled that out. And this is what I mean about like, it's all about the details, because painting something like this is just going to make it hide and look so seamless in the desk. And I feel like we kind of did that all around this desk and also in the room. So when you're working on some house projects or a DIY project, definitely do not overlook those details. They mean a lot. All right, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you feel like it made a huge difference in here? I'm really hoping it's coming through on camera, but in person, it just totally gives a different feel in the space, and it definitely fits the style that I'm going for. But I'm actually wondering if I want to maybe put like a whitewash or something on my little sideboard behind my desk and things like that, just to kind of soften up that look a little bit, because now that this desk kind of fits more the aesthetic, I feel like the sideboard is looking a little bit more yellow or orangey than I was hoping. So let me know if you have any thoughts on that, or if you have a different idea completely. Finally, the desk had had time to really cure, and it was time to start putting things back together on the desk and just watch it kind of come to life. Now, a lot of things were just things that I already had. Actually, most everything was, other than I had gotten a lamp, which you'll see me putting on the desk here. And then I also got a little desk clock / phone charger, and also a new like pen and pencil holder, which I'll unbox here in just a minute. But once I got a few things set up on the desk, I actually just went into the drawers and that like flip top area and started reorganizing that area a little bit. So this little tile piece is actually from when we went around looking at different pieces of stone, and this was a sample of a quartz countertop that we had got whenever we were doing our kitchen renovation. But I ended up using it here on the desk because anytime you can put something on a tray, it all of a sudden feels like it's not just kind of floating around, it just kind of grounds it on the space, kind of in a similar way that a rug will do that for the furniture in a room. But I love the simplicity of it and just how it makes those kind of awkward pieces like my microphone and our router actually look like they're meant to be there and not just set on the desk somewhere. And then this is that little desk clock, and I love this so much. It's so pretty looking. I honestly just love the aesthetic of it, but it's also really nice because I always am looking for somewhere to charge my phone in my office, and then also having the clock there just kind of keeps me on task a little bit better. So I love the functionality of it as well as the looks. And as always, I will have everything that I'm using in this video linked down below in the description box, as well as over on my Like to Know page. And then anything that you might have questions about, go ahead and leave a comment and I will be sure to let you know where something's from or my answer to whatever you're wondering. Are you guys ready for some randomness? Because I'm always here to share the random things with you guys, but I just recently started doing this when I put my hair up in a high ponytail. I just do a little clip kind of on the back of my head and then also like in the bottom of the ponytail. And as you can see, it actually just like kind of lifts your ponytail and gives it a lot more body. I have loved it, and I also feel like I don't have to adjust my ponytail all during the day. So just some randomness to share with you guys. things are really coming together here. We have the desk all put back together, the plaques and everything on the wall. The desk is nice and organized and a little bit refreshed. Like I kind of changed some things around, added a couple new pieces. I added that gold lamp to tie into the gold legs and everything. Next, we are actually going to jump up to this bookshelf and just to kind of like refresh it a little bit, just kind of pull things down, clean it off, and then just redecorate up there a little bit, give it a little bit of new life. And then we're actually gonna go into Kyle's office and put up some beautiful pictures and frames that I picked out for him. And I'll kind of talk about that more when we get over there. But first, let's tackle the bookshelf. This bookshelf was very intentionally styled in the beginning, and over time it's just kind of been a place where I end up putting things. So I wanted to pull everything down and of course wipe it all down, clean it up, and then I'm just using things that I already had to restyle it in a little bit more intentional way once again. And I always just move around decor throughout the house. That way it ends up feeling new without having to bring anything new into your house or without having to spend any extra money on things. So in Kyle's office, I've like struggled with this wall because I don't want to make it too busy, but it's such a large open space that I feel like it kind of needs something. So I've really just like struggled with that for ever since we moved in. But I kind of recently figured out exactly what I want to do and I'm so excited. So I ordered some frames from Amazon and then I actually went on Etsy and got some digital downloads and then I just ordered those off Shutterfly. They arrived, so we're gonna put everything together and I'll kind of tell you like the story of why I chose the prints that I did, but I think they are going to look amazing right here. So we're actually gonna end up having like 6 prints and it'll just be 2 rows of 3. I think it's gonna look incredible. So I ordered these frames from Amazon. I actually had a hard time finding these, but I wanted something with a lighter wood look so that it would kind of brighten up Kyle's office because at the moment he has a lot of darker items in there. And then as for the pictures themselves, I went to Etsy and I ordered different ones. I kind of handpicked them, but I basically picked 3 different ones that kind of represented Arizona, which is where we live now. And then I picked 3 different ones that represented Utah, which is where we moved from previously. And Kyle's heart is probably 50-50 in both of those states. He loves Utah and he loves Arizona. And so I really wanted to give that to him in his office, which is where he spends a lot of time. So I just wanted to put something in here that actually would mean something to him and make him smile whenever he sees it. Here's our little hack. We're actually gonna use like the inside papers and put them on the wall. Obviously we'll have the frame around it, but it'll give us a good idea or a better idea of like where exactly you want them hung. This laser level has been such a helper whenever we're doing these projects. Like we used it up in Liam's bathroom a few months back. We've used it here, just kind of random places, but it's not one of those things you use all the time, but when you do use it, it's one of those tools that's pretty irreplaceable. And then as for hanging the actual picture frames up, we are just using Velcro command strips. Surprise, surprise. These frames are really lightweight, so they worked beautifully. I absolutely love how this turned out. I actually feel like it kind of transformed Kyle's office a lot more than I was realizing it would. It has such a big impact in that space, but it still doesn't feel busy because it just kind of flows really well, I guess. And it actually makes a big difference kind of whenever you're walking towards the front door or whenever you're on the stairs and you see them. Like it has a lot bigger impact than I was realizing it would kind of all around this area. But one thing that I wasn't loving about it was that the frames were just a little bit glaring. I feel like it's even showing up worse on camera than in person. However, I am kind of thinking about doing something to decrease that glare a little bit. I know that you can Mod Podge the glass, and I think that might be what I might try out. If that works, that would be a great option, but I definitely don't want to ruin the frames. So let me know in the comments if you've ever tried that out and how it worked. But this is how it all came together, and I just could not be happier with it. There is still more we want to do in my office still. Like we still want to put in at least 1 or 2 shelves in the little coves in my office. And now I'm thinking I might want to DIY something a little bit different for the front of my sideboard, just so it continues to look a little bit more cohesive. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about everything that we did today? What were your favorite moments, and were there any things that you would have done differently? As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and do not forget to check out BetterHelp, and thank you so much again to them for sponsoring today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys right back here in a few days with a brand new video. Bye guys!